Oneness is the law. There may be laws within our experience of separation put in place in order for us to function in our time-space reality in a way which seeks to keep everything ticking over as it is. But the only law is the law of oneness. Essentially, the only law is the law of oneness. And that law needs no policing because it pleases itself. It's like oneness needs no policing because in its experience, in the separation that was born of oneness, in order to give oneness an experience of itself, there is this law of karma, of cause and effect, of action and reaction, of reap what you sow. So whatever you do within this time and space reality, you will get the opposite back, and this is the universe held in balance. This is the universe held in balance. It's the plus and the minus, the duality, the experience of the manifest expression, the game world, in which oneness learns of itself, and the learning has to be total, which is why we have this process. Anything we do that is less than one has an equal and opposite reaction in order that we may learn the other side, we may see the other side of the oneness that we are. So it's not like we are isolated events or isolated entities in isolated situations. It's everything is connected, and this is a law, the law, which is often forgotten, and as it's forgotten, we cause ourselves a lot of heartache, a lot of worry, and again it's like this, the symptom is the limited part that doesn't understand the whole, tries to make things better by implementing policies or implementing laws or implementing solutions which aren't taking into account the fact that we are whole, the fact that oneness is the only truth. And in that book, Autobiography of a Yogi, there's this wonderful little description of karma. So, about the understanding of karma. So it says here, people often complain about the injustice of the world, and the injustice of the world that we complain about is an injustice to ourselves, an injustice to oneness, and a lack of understanding of oneness. So as it says here, an understanding of karma, so like I said, that every action within a limited time-space experience has an equal and opposite reaction. So you do something negative to someone, you get that negativity back in a similar or another form, but in equal measure later down the line, sooner or later. So an understanding of karma as the law of justice underlying life's inequalities serves to free the human mind from resentment against God and man. So if we don't understand this law, that oneness operates through the separation in order that we may learn of our oneness. If we don't understand this law, because we're lost in separation, not seeing the whole picture, then if we don't understand this law, then we get bogged down by all the things that people might appear to get away with, or the horror we see enacted in the world that does not seem to be given a punishment equal to the crime. It's like in forgetting the whole, we expect some external authority to hold balance, and this is where we go wrong, because no external authority can hold balance, because in truth there are no externalities. In truth, everything external is just another part of yourself. So all that seeks to hold balance in the world exists only because we're not holding it within ourselves. I mean, so if we remove ourselves from the context of oneness, then the society we create reflects that, and we have separation, modulating separation. We have separate bodies dictating the other actions of other separate bodies in an attempt to create some kind of order, some kind of order out of the chaos, when the only true order is the natural order that is oneness. And I mean, okay, so oneness, how does that look in practical terms? How does oneness look on a day-to-day level? Well, this law of karma, I guess you could see it as treat others as you would like to be treated, do unto others as you would like to have done unto you. And that's not just because it is nice. It's nice to do nice things and get nice things back. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is do unto others as you would have done unto you. Well, the fact is, the other is not other. It is another aspect of yourself. So the initiated interpretation of this law is there are no others. It is just yourself happening. So whatever you do to another, you do to yourself. So don't do something bad to another, because you're doing it to yourself. You know, it's like yeah. And the sort of the less enlightened interpretation of that would be, you know, we all want to function well. We're all separate parts. I'm a separate part, you're a separate part. You know, we probably have sort of similar things that we like and don't like, and okay, so if I don't do this to you, you don't do that to me. You know, it's like, I mean, that works as well, but to a lesser extent than a full understanding of why we say that. And why we say that is because we are all one. And that oneness operates and understands itself through the web of time and space. Separation. And seeing that oneness is what is real, then the separation we use to reflect the whole. The separation is the image of God. But if we don't see the whole, then the separation just becomes a disorganized mess, and it needs people, others to step in. So this is how we give our power away. In thinking we're separate, we give our power away to others, i.e. disenfranchised parts of ourselves. You know, we are oneness blasted out into parts, and for as long as we don't take responsibility for each part, then we're not taking responsibility for ourselves. And we're taught this through the law of karma. So whenever we go against the truth of oneness, a lesson is created in karmic terms, which can help us remember, come back to that law of oneness. So nothing has covered truth but ourself. Remember, there is nothing other than yourself. Nothing has covered truth but ourself, our own limited understanding of ourselves that we've chosen. And why have we chosen it? We've chosen it so we can have an experience. So it's not all bad. It's not like I'm saying that we shouldn't have a world where different people take different responsibilities. That is part of the play-out experience. What I'm saying is, if you want to re-establish yourself in your spiritual truth and re-establish spiritual truth in yourself, then it's a case of learning to see your oneness in order that your manifest experience can reflect that, can honour that. So, like I said before, we exist on two channels almost. These channels are, in one way, they're separate. In another way, they're not separate because it's all one. So these two channels, we have time and space and divine oneness. These two different channels. And if we look at the idea of the Big Bang again, I mean, I have no direct experience of the Big Bang other than my spiritual relationship to that idea. I mean, I don't know if that happened or not as we're told it happened, and I think that's one of the main things on the spiritual journey. Don't believe anything anyone tells you, because it's not up to anyone else to tell you. It's your consciousness to explore. But this idea of the Big Bang, you can see it as the singularity before time and space gave birth to time and space, and each person is a fragment of what was born. So a fragment of this world, universe experience. Each person can be seen as a fragment of that. And this is what we usually think. We usually look at that idea, the Big Bang, and because our minds are locked in time and space, we think, okay, so I'm a fragment that is a result of that initial birth. And this logical interpretation is one of a mind that doesn't understand the full extent of itself. It's one of a mind locked in time and space. Because if your mind is aware of the oneness that you were born from, if your mind is attuning to spirit, you see that birth that created the worlds and all the apparently different parts, well, each one of those parts is the extension of the spiritual energy that gave birth to it. So this is a mind not locked in apparent separate form. This is a mind not locked in time and space designations. This is a mind that has freed itself of the limitations of time and space and can see the spiritual essence that runs through all, from unmanifest to manifest, time and space, and back to the unmanifest it was born from. And so this is incredible, because in this sense we are not just fragments cast out from a divine singularity. We have not just lost our divinity and become fragments, only if we choose to view like that. And when I say choose, I mean it depends on your understanding, your level of understanding again. It's a choice based on deep understanding, So when you see that you share the same creative energy that gave birth to these fragments, that gave birth to everything, the creative energy of you that gave birth to you in manifest form, when you see this spiritual oneness, you know that, well, what you are is not a fragment cast out in time and space and lost to divinity. What you are is the extension of that one divine creative energy, that one divine creative force that is not something that happened millions of years ago, because remember, in spiritual essence, in oneness, there is no time and space. It's all happening now. what you are is that creative force that gave birth to the universe, is the creative force within you, giving birth to everything in your life in this moment. Everything you choose to do is how you employ that creative power that you are. So we are each an expression of oneness, and we are each oneness giving birth to the worlds. We give birth to the world, to our world experience. Each person as a separate entity creates a world, creates an experience for themselves. And how do we do this? Through the creative energy that we are, that we were born from. Creative energy that is not separate from us because it is us. So we are creative beings, we are divine creative beings. And a world disconnected from spirit, i.e. divine creative being, a world disconnected from spirit is not going to tell you that. You have to learn it for yourself, you have to see it for yourself. And so in one sense, we're not just fragments cast out in time and space. But until we understand that we're not just that, then to our experience we are just that. So this is the whole process. The whole process is in embarking on the journey, and walking the journey, coming to the destination, which is the source, which is here and now, which is your spiritual essence, which is who you are. And that's where your power is. And that's, from that point, you're no longer creating negative karma if you're continuing to align to that one truth that you are aware of. If you continue to align to that one truth of spirit, then how would you continue to create negative karma that you need to learn from in a future date? You wouldn't, because that negative karma is just a result of thinking you are a separate entity, limited entity that needs to serve itself through, or needs to serve its limited self-interest. And for example, thinking you're a limited self as a tradesperson, a business person, you know, you're out to get the most profit from a situation, from another, from a job, and there's no real consideration of the other. It's like, if there is a consideration of the other, its most elevated form is knowing that that other is not separate from you. I mean, we have rules and regulations to ensure that people aren't done over by tradespeople, by business people, by we have laws in place that are supposed to ensure that. And often we see the most powerful avoiding taxation, avoiding the laws which are supposed to apply, and so we perceive an injustice, but actually the only injustice is happening is the injustice that the perpetrators of inequality are perpetrating. You know, it's like, that's the only injustice. That's an injustice that has to be accounted for later on. So the closer we are to oneness, the less we do things out of a limited self-interest that causes us pain, because it causes us difficult situations that have come back to us that we need to learn through. The more we align to oneness, the closer we are to a real understanding of our unity, and therefore, by the nature of that understanding, a will to want to serve that unity. So like I said, the Big Bang oneness giving birth to separation, is simply oneness giving birth to oneness in experiential form. Apparent separation, but still oneness. And so like I said, you are an extension of that same creative energy of the source, the spiritual essence we are, our higher truth. Your only power is spirit, so anything less is an image of spirit. Power over someone is not power, that's the opposite. It's like, because it's an inequality you have to account for later through repaying karmic debt. Your only power is spirit, is that which runs through you when you align with it, our spiritual truth, who you are. And I've written here, this is something I wanted to clarify. Spirit filters down through mind, body and emotion. So in our experience we are a sort of a composite of all of these things, of mind, of spirit, of mind, intellect, body, emotion, thoughts, feelings. You know, we are a composite of these things to our experience, to a channel within us that identifies with time and space. In time and space we are all of these things. We have needs on a physical level, an emotional level, spiritual level. You know, it's like in the worldly experience we have needs on all these levels that are to be met. But meeting these needs is done primarily through focusing on the oneness that these needs were born from, through focusing on the spirit that the mental, emotional and the physical were born from. I mean, the mental is a processing power of spirit, of consciousness, the same for the emotional, and the physical is a apparently crystallized form of spirit, of consciousness. So what I've written here is because spirit is what is the source. A focus on spirit recalibrates all of these other areas. Recalibrates the physical, the mental, the emotional. You know, but so long as the spirit is omitted, then we have to sort of expend loads of effort in maintaining each of them. It's like when we don't trust the wholeness of the one we are, we have to scavenge about in the parts trying to meet our needs, when actually our needs are flowing down through us all the time through spirit. These are needs of consciousness, and consciousness can be attuned to at a very high level in order that we feel the love we are. So that's why we're doing it, to feel the love we are. It's not like we're becoming who we are for no reason. We're becoming who we are because it's a beautiful journey, and who we are is pure essence, pure love, it's life itself. We are life itself. So remember, no externality, only what you choose to create because of the experience you want to create. So if you want to create an experience away from the source, go for it, explore, enjoy. But there comes a time when we're ready to come back to our source, come back to our spirit. And like I said before, this is all a natural process, all natural in and out of divinity. And nothing is wrong. Nothing is wrong. In this moment, all is okay. Because in this moment, consciousness is all there is. And it's happening as it needs to happen. Even though that can be very difficult to accept if you're identified as just a limited part, having limited access to limited knowledge, thus creating a limited view on the world, not seeing the whole picture. So we have to see the whole picture in order for things to make sense. And it's not making sense on an intellectual level, it's making sense on a spiritual level. So I've written in spirit, essence, and in form as a mirror to that. So in spirit, essence, and in time and space as a mirror to that. One body, one spirit. One body, one spirit. So in the manifest world experience we have one body, i.e. each person has one body, and this body is an expression of the one spirit. And so we can see the body as a microcosm to the universe. It's like it's a divine reflection of oneness. So if we conceive of ourselves as a limited part, then let's conceive of ourselves as a reflection of love. I mean, isn't that a beautiful way to live? And I mean, the body, you can also see the body on broader terms. You can see the world body. We are each a part of this world body. And it's a universal body, and if we can see beyond the limits of our own separate experience, we can see one spirit, one universe. You know, it's like it's the same, it's one and the same, and we are that. So the mind that sees in terms of time and space, we're a separate body, and there's no sort of sense of spiritual self, but if someone sees the spiritual, sees the essence, sees the oneness, then the body can be a reflection of that oneness, and each person can live that oneness, can live oneness. I mean, how amazing is that, to be able to live oneness, to know that you are the extension of that creative consciousness that gave birth to the world. And you are that one having an experience. Each one of us is that one having an experience. How amazing is that? It's incredible. So in terms of karma, each one is one. So each person is like their own sun. If we take the analogy of the creative consciousness of the source as a sun, each person is one sun. So let them get on with it, you know, don't suffocate, hang on, or depend on another, or block another's way. Because if each person is one, then, okay, so is your one, is my one, is somebody else's one. If it's all one, then all of those ones, all of those suns, they just come together as one sun, as one universal spiritual essence. So there is only one. Remember, there is only one. In time and space, right? Now there are apparently many, but they are the many multifaceted expressions of a oneness which is just taking different angles on itself, just looking at itself in different ways through us. So we're not to get locked in the view, thinking the view is the essence. The essence is what is taking the view through the time and space experience. The essence is what is looking in on itself through us, through our experience. So each person is one, there is only one, and oneness is eternal. You are oneness, you are eternal. Not your expression, not your physical form, although that is a beautiful, crystallized manifestation of the oneness that you are. Ultimately, you've got to see your oneness on oneness's terms. You've got to see your oneness as one. You've got to see one as one. You've got to see you as one. It is all one. In essence, in expression, we can get lost in identifying with separation. In essence, there is one. Here and now, there is one. So this idea of karma, you can see that on a universal scale, the process from source through time and space experience back to source. I mean, that's the universe, the birth of the universe, experience through the universe, and back to the start, the sort of the ending of the universe as the new beginning of the universe. Because it's all happening now, so the end is the beginning is the end. It's all one, in and out, weaving happening now. So you can see that on a human scale as well, birth of a human, experience of a human, consolidation of all what the humans learned back to wherever we came from before birth. Or you can see it as the process of lifetimes, of giving birth to, and then the person has one lifetime, 2 lifetimes, 3 lifetimes, 4 lifetimes. I mean, karma and reincarnation, they go together. If we've got a karmic account, we have karma to pay off, then we need to reincarnate in another life, like a light that continues from lifetime to lifetime, but is forgotten, like previous lifetimes are forgotten about, because we have this veil of time-space illusion. We forget our oneness, and so we forget to see the context of where we come from. We disconnect ourselves from any understanding of past lives, because we just see this life, because all around us is pointing at the fact that there's nothing else but this. Well, they say you only live once. Well, actually you do only live once, because there is only one life. But that is not your one expression of it. That is a multitude of expressions of it. You are all of these expressions of life. You are not separate from this. This is why you can have an understanding of the life you see around you. You are this same life. So yeah, there is only one life. And you don't only live once. If you okay, so it depends what perspective you're taking on it. There is only one life. If you see the spiritual, there is only one life. One life. If you're interpreting that from a spiritual perspective, you can see it means one essence, regardless of how many expressions you have. If you don't understand that spiritual perspective, if you're told you are one life, then you think, okay, so all I know is this expression, so that must mean this expression is all there is, and this is where we get lost. We try and interpret spiritual truth through a mind that doesn't have any capacity for spirit, because it's locked down into a limited time and space view. So stop trying to understand spirit through a mind of separation. A mind of wholeness is all that can see spirit, because a mind of wholeness is what spirit is. We have to see unity through unity. We have to be united in order to see unity. It's like this is why it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like you are it. So you have to, if you are all of it, the life that you are, which you are, then you have to elevate yourself to a state that is more united, bring in the like reintegrating the shadow side of yourself, reintegrating the bits that you've neglected of yourself. You have to do that in order to become whole, to see the wholeness that is everything and all around. So this is why spiritual development is key. There is one life, and you are it happening. But yeah, going back to that model of source through time-space experience back to source. You could see that as one lifetime happening or a string of lifetimes happening. So we are spirit. In essence, we are spirit. But spirit, before it crystallizes in matter, it crystallizes in souls, in kind of mini-suns, if you like. And these souls then take a body. And the soul's journey continues throughout lifetimes. So this is who you are. You are a soul, and your journey continues throughout lifetimes. You take on different costumes, different, poor man, rich man, all sorts of different expressions we take on, but the soul remains the same. It incarnates into bodies, situations, times and spaces where it can learn what it needs to learn based on what karma it's previously created through its experience. So the law is maintained. Oneness is the law of spirit, and in spirit's expression the law is the law of karma, and it can't be avoided because it is the law of consciousness happening, and no imposed law can reflect that. Not accurately. It can try its best. But we need to know where law is, and law is within ourselves. And so it's imperative that we uncover oneness within ourselves to live fully and live holy. And I suppose a degree to which we can know if we're living oneness or not, because it's very easy to delude ourselves and be living the life of a separate, limited self-interest and pretend that that is oneness. Well, how do you check yourself? Well, see, are you really honouring others as you would like to be honoured yourself? In all your words, thoughts and actions, are you honouring others as you would like to be honoured? So remembering it's not other, it's yourself. And just as we have time and space experience until we no longer need it, we create karma and rectify karmic accounts until we no longer need to. And that is the whole process of experience. It's all the process of consciousness, learning of itself, learning of the oneness that it is. Yeah. So, take your most elevated expression, or take your most elevated understanding of what life is, or what life could be, or what you would like life to be. The most elevated understanding, something that works for the good of all, and let that be your guide for how you step your life in the world.